All right, thank you everybody for coming out this morning. And with that, we'll start with our first speaker, Governor Dan McKee. Governor?
Thank you, Jonathan. We hope everybody enjoyed the 4th. We got a little rain, but we did the parades anyways. And happy to be here in Warwick. I just left Mayor Ficozzi's here as well. Mayor's around here somewhere, and just left the Boys and Girls Club here in Warwick. Signed another Learn 365 compact. We're up to 31 communities on that, by the way, representing over 950,000 people in the state of Rhode Island. More on that to come. But today, the focus is on housing. And I'm glad to be here in Warwick to sign a package of bills aimed at sparking housing production and strengthening the market in our state. We are at the former Aldrich Junior High School, which Rep. McNamara tells me he attended two of his best years of his life here. So, which is going to be transformed into an affordable senior housing development. I want to start by recognizing and thanking the speaker, who has continued to be a key leader on housing in our state and championing that cause. I also want to thank the Senate President, Senator Kalman, for championing housing in the Senate. One of the first bills I signed in 2021, April, was the Fair Housing Practice Act, sponsored by the Senator. It's great to be continuing that momentum today, so thank you to the Senate and its efforts. Before I get into my remarks, I want to recognize the sponsors of this legislation that will be signed today, represented Speaker Stacacci, Senate President Ruggiero, Major Leader Pearson, Chairman Craven, Senator McKinney, Representative Alzar, Senator Coleman, and Representative Felix. I want to recognize our Lieutenant Governor who stands with me today. Housing has been a key issue, not only when she was a president of the City Council in Providence, but in her years now as Lieutenant Governor. So, Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much. Okay, you move. All right. It's no secret that Rhode Island has housing challenges on multiple levels. And for Rhode Island to be an attractive place to live, work, and raise a family, we must address the availability of quality housing. That means everything from providing support to those experiencing this homelessness, to increasing affordable housing, to ensuring we build workforce housing, middle-class families, and fair market housing as well. Historically, our state has underinvested in housing. We need to invest more, and we need to get more housing built, and we need to do it now. Together with our partners in the General Assembly, we've taken action to address just that. First, we created a permanent funding stream for affordable housing. Second, I was proud to propose, and all the General Assembly passed, a $250 million, once-in-a-generation investment in our state's housing stock. I'm often asked, what are we doing with that $250 million? As of today, nearly $115 million of these resources will have been committed and are projected to produce and preserve housing across the state. I'm also grateful to the General Assembly for passing the housing budget amendment that my administration proposed at the beginning of May. The fiscal year 24 budget that I signed into law creates statewide low-income housing tax credit program. Thank you, Secretary Pryor, for that work and those innovations. Provides an additional $30 million to address homelessness. And I'm meeting regularly with the Secretary and his team to speak about just that. Provides an additional $21 million for targeted housing development, and provides funding to fully staff our Department of Housing. In addition to that, we know money is only part of the equation to solve this crisis. Today, we will sign a package of bills that will help us get housing developed more quickly. From streamlining permit process, creating a housing and land and use court calendar, making reuse of existing structures such as schools easier, and providing and creating a transit-oriented development pilot program. These are all tools in the toolbox that our team will use to get more housing built. To be a little more specific, I think the speaker can speak to these things, and that's why I'd like to call him up right now, get a little more detail on the programs he's proposed and the bills that I am going to sign immediately after we get done talking here in the sun. Okay, thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Governor. Exciting day, and thank you all for coming today. It's a beautiful day, and in many ways, it's a very important day for Warwick, but for the state. And I'll be happy to talk about the bills. I've talked to some of the press, and I'll be here after as well. But I really want to talk about the effort that led into this, because it was a total team effort. This was not about one person or one idea, and I appreciate the accolades, and I gladly accept them, but there are a lot of people who helped. And I have a list of people, and I'm sure I'm going to forget somebody, but I really want to start first with the advocates who've been on the front lines. Carol Ventura from Rhode Island Housing, from the very, very beginning, has been right there, very supportive of me in the package. Brenda Clements, Jen Hawkins, Melina Lodge, all of them have been on the front lines working with Land Use Committee, Low and Moderate Housing, with Stephen Pryor, the Secretary of Commerce. Stephen, much has been given to you and much is expected from you. So we're going to hold you accountable. But I do think we have the right person for the job. This is important because it's a win-win-win-win. It's win for the state, it's win for the city, it's a win for affordable housing, it's a win for TOD, transportation-oriented development. I spoke to some young reporter from the Beacon. She said, why here? I said, this checks a couple of boxes. And Win Development was the actual company that was the successful bidder. And I want to congratulate Mayor Picozzi and the City Council. I see Jeremy Ricks. Last week they awarded this property to Win. Hopefully it'll be converted into 75 units of affordable housing, primarily targeted towards seniors. So Mayor, congratulations and thank you for all you do for the City of Warwick. Mayor has embraced housing and development, but he's done it in a very strategic way. We don't have project-based tax stabilization acts. The mayor has been very clear about that, and Warwick has thrived, and that's to his credit and the City Council, and I want to thank them. President McAllister couldn't make it, but he sends his regards. And of course my reps, all of them who are here today. I'm going to probably forget somebody because they're late, but I want to start with Deputy Whip Ackerman, who's here. My majority leader, Chris Blazejewski, is out of town, but Chairman Bennett, Chairman McNamara, Representative Norray, Chairman Solomon, Representative Felix, Chairwoman Alzate, Representative Stewart, Chairman Craven, who's been an author of these as well. So many people. Representative Beer is here as well, and of course Senator Coleman. I'll get to the Senate in a minute, but I really want to thank them. They were supportive. It was not easy. Anyone tells you that the housing is easy, it's great to celebrate. Everyone here is supportive of it. That's great. But not everybody in the community is, and not everybody at the State House is. There are people who don't want housing to change. They want to preserve the status quo. Well, I'm sorry, if that's not working, and I'm not afraid to rock the boat a little bit if we have to. If we have to get things done, I don't mind being the change agent. I got broad shoulders, and we're going to continue to do this. But these bills today, the governor's going to sign, are a product of many hours of work by the Land Use Commission, chaired by Tom Della, June Speakman, who I'm saved the best for last, who's done a tremendous job as a Low and Moderate Housing Commission. And we passed together 13 out of 14 bills. The one bill that didn't pass was June Speakman's ADU. But I tell you, June, we're going to come back next year. We're going to double down our efforts. We're going to pass that bill early. We're going to work really hard with our friends in the Senate to make it happen. And I want to congratulate the Senate. Senator Coleman's here, but also my good friend, the Senate President, Dominic Ruggiero, who couldn't make it today, sends his congratulations to everybody, a big supporter of this effort. You don't get 13 out of 14 bills unless the Senate President supports you. So I want to thank him for that. I want to thank him for his continued effort. And we're going to continue to work to make this a successful effort. Someone said to me, what's the immediate benefit? Well, there are no immediate benefits because the bills don't go into effect until January 1st. But hopefully what this package will do, and I see some of my friends from Grow Smart, Scott Wolf, who we worked together in the Sunland administration back in the 90s, John Flaherty, John Moncantonio from the builders. Everybody was involved in these. Everybody. The Association of Planners, the League of Cities and Towns, Ernie Almonte, Jordan Day. I can go on and thank so many people who've helped. But these were not my bills or their bills. They were everybody's bills. Everybody participated. It was a collaborative effort. And what you see and what the governor will sign today will be the work product of many hours of hard work. But primarily behind the scenes, two unsung heroes who helped me and continue to help me, primarily with housing, but with a whole host of other issues. My policy director, Lynn Urbani, wherever she is, Lynn Urbani, and Joella Roach, we brought in as our land use expert. I don't want to tell you when I told her the day of the last day of session, I said, Lynn, we're not going to get the ADU bill. Well, she was, I would say, mildly disappointed, and that would be a gross understatement. But I said we got 13 out of 14 and celebrate what we've accomplished, and we'll come back for more. We'll come back for those bills because they're really important. It's been a total team effort. Everybody at the State House, everybody in the community. I'll just speak very briefly about TOD, Transportation-Oriented Development. It's why we're at this school, because this would hopefully qualify. I know Stefan's Pry's gonna adopt regulations, but we're on a bus line, and this is a perfect example of TOD, and I want to congratulate the Grow Smart people and Scott Avedisian, former Mayor Avedisian. Scott, you're always going to be a mayor to me. Someone said, I called him mayor. He's not the mayor anymore. I said, I know that, but once you have the title, he came down today and made sure that a RIPTA bus brought advocates here today, because this is the type of development we're looking for. High density development on a bus line, adaptive reuse. So I want to congratulate Representative Cruz, especially for that particular bill, and thank you all, and I appreciate it. It's, without any ado, it's my great pleasure, and I'm sure I represent, and I recognize Tom Naray. If I didn't, I want to say I did. And of course, I want to introduce a champion in the Senate who works really hard, who I've gotten to know and really have enjoyed a great working relationship and unbelievable amount of respect for Senator Coleman and her efforts. As Senator, please, it's my pleasure.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Governor. My name is Megan Coleman. I'm the Vice Chair of the Senate Committee on Housing and Municipal Government. It is my very great pleasure to be here today. And I want to first echo all of the thanks primarily to our community members and our advocates who have been the driving force behind this package and other housing-related bills for as long as I have been in the Senate. I also want to recognize my House colleagues, particularly. We have a strong Pawtucket contingency here today. We got Rep. Stewart, we got Rep. Alsalte, we got Rep. Cruz, and I just saw Rep. Felix walk in, two of whom are co-sponsors here. Quick story to start us off. So when the Pawtucket Central Falls train station opened, the Providence Streets Coalition had an event that they called TOD, which is normally understood as transit-oriented development, but in their case, it was transit-oriented drinking. So the idea was you got on the train in Providence, and we took the train up to Pawtucket, we got off, we went to the Guild, everybody had a couple beers, and they went back. And it was one of those things. So Pawtucket Central Falls, we adopted a TOD sort of as an exploratory mechanism a number of years ago when the final plans for the train station were approved and the construction was completed. But it was really a window into what the future can look like when we do it right. And I'm so excited to be participating in this ceremony, to recognize a number of really important housing bills that I think are moving us closer to really getting it right. I am particularly excited about the TOD bill because if we do it right, it'll crack a couple of nuts at the same time, housing and transit. And in order to tackle the climate crisis, we know that we need to do both of those things together. And in recent years, through our work together, as has already been stated, we have made in Rhode Island tremendous progress towards resolving the housing crisis, but this is not the time to take our foot off the gas. There is still not enough affordable housing to meet our needs. We still have individuals, we have families, we have young people unable to realize the dream of home ownership and also unable to realize the dream of just rentership, right? So we will not stop until that problem is solved. Just by way of illustration, a couple of weeks ago, there's a Haitian family, they're a refugee family, they live in my district, and we had turned over every last stone to try to find them a place to live. They signed a lease a couple of weeks ago. They will not be homeless. They have a safe place to live, but it is not affordable. And so they are paying over what they should be paying. And so we've gotten sort of halfway there in the sense that they got a place to live. And we got further to go in the sense that we need to build enough so that other people are not in that position, cost burdened. This situation of housing scarcity affects every community in our state. Obviously, Warwick, particularly the cities I represent, Pawtucket and Providence. It affects people of all walks of life. And I'm really proud to be a member of a General Assembly that has undertaken innovative and urgent action. We've created the Department of Housing. I'm very glad to have the Secretary here with us today. And through the financial resources provided in the budget, as the Governor has already remarked, as well as a package of bills, some of which are being signed today, we stand a chance to resolve this crisis before it gets worse, and to ensure a healthy and productive possibility of life and futures for Rhode Islanders. So thank you very much to my colleagues in both chambers, as well as in the Executive Office, Lieutenant Governor, and most importantly to all the advocates. Secretary, I believe you're next. Is that correct?
Yes.
It is my pleasure to introduce Secretary Pryor.
Thank you very much, Senator Coleman, and Senator, thank you so much for all the work that you've done and the Senate has done. Senator Coleman, you've distinguished yourself as an advocate and a leader on housing, and thank you, Senator Coleman, and to the Senate President. Today is July 5th, and on July 5th, 1776, they got the word out. On July 5th, 1776, a John Dunlap, who was the printer assigned with making copies of the Declaration, got those copies out. And very much like this ceremony that we are having today, they want to make sure that throughout the land, and in our case throughout the state, it was clear that it was a new day, that we were, as a nation, forming. In our case, that we are at long last taking on the problem of housing. And for us, on this smaller scale, in our beautiful, tiny state, we have work to do. And we know we have to get the word out that there are new tools, there are new measures, and there are new efforts underway to remedy this problem. And so today, on July 5th, we get started in earnest. It's incredibly important, and it's incredibly appropriate. I want to begin really by thanking Speaker Shekarchi. Those assembled here, you know it to be true. Speaker Shekarchi exhibited extraordinary leadership. He drew upon the commissions, the aforementioned commissions, which were the brain trusts, which really did from the bottom up generate the ideas, attract the ideas, metabolize the ideas, and bring them together. And the Speaker ushered all of that, working with legislative leaders who put an enormous effort, initiative of their own, and consulted with stakeholders represented here and beyond, and refined those bills and brought them to this moment. And we're so grateful. We're grateful that the local planning, zoning, and development processes will be streamlined, made more predictable, made more effective as a result. We are grateful that there are new measures to ensure that density for housing purposes may be produced where it is best suited, where there's already infrastructure in place, for example, at transit hubs, resulting in transit-oriented development. And for that matter, at commercial sites and industrial sites. This is a smart package. This is an important package. This is a significant step forward. It is a starting point. We do need to do more, as the Speaker himself has noted, and we need to do more going forward. And Governor McKee, what an extraordinary set of tools you have provided in your budget amendment in consultation with the Speaker and Senate President. You gave us tools that will fund transit-oriented development, create a priority projects fund to fill gaps in project budgets. We've created the first in state history, state level, low-income housing tax credit that will enable us to draw down the workhorse federal tax credits, the 4% and 9% LIHTC tax credits, and will enable much more expanded activity. When you take these streamlining bills and put them together with these financial measures, we are getting started in earnest. There's over $100 million more dollars, funded programs and tax credits together that are moving forward for housing development on top of the $250 million for this purpose. We are getting started in earnest. The task now is to set realistic expectations. As the Speaker correctly framed these bills, and as he correctly reiterated today, these bills don't even take effect till January. That was smart. We're ramping up now. We need to, along the way of even ramping up, show some exemplars. Where can we get started? On the housing front, on the homelessness front. I will note my partner Carol Ventura is here from Rhode Island Housing. Already in the past month and a half, Carol Ventura, under the leadership of Governor McKee, we've approved 1,400 new units of housing. Now those have to get in the ground and then get all the way up, built and open, but those are on the way, much more to come. And one of the things I've been asked to do in these remarks is just offer a few items of recognition. There's been so much recognition already, but Governor, Speaker, and colleagues, very, very quickly, these are some of the people who, as the Speaker noted, really got the job done. Melina Lodge of the Housing Network, Brenda Clement, Jen Hawkins, Russ Partridge, Ernie Almonte, Jordan Day, John Marcantonio, Karen Santilli, John McDonald. There are too many to mention. These are some we spotted in the crowd. The advocates, those moving things forward, and the legislators who saw fit to prioritize housing and make it happen. Today is our July 5th. We get started in earnest. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Stefan. Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you, Governor. I just want to echo Stefan on thanking the advocates. I have been working with all of you for so long, and we have been pushing and saying that we need to develop more housing. So I want to acknowledge Rhode Island Housing, Jennifer Hopkins, I saw back there, Scott from Grossmart, thank you for everything, the planning about talking about the impact that is going to have in the state of Rhode Island if we're able to grow the population. In order to grow the population, we need housing. So thank you to all of you for being here. And it's too hot to have having another speech, so we're going to sign the bill. Thank you.
Let's go ahead.